All right, we are back on the Visionary Mindset podcast today, and today we have Brittany Hogan. She is a realtor and designer extraordinaire. So welcome, Brittany Hogan.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
So let's dive into it, and just tell us a little bit more about your background, what you did prior to real estate, what got you into real estate, and just your journey so far.
Awesome. So I was born and raised in the Bay Area. I had a pivot in my banking career almost 10 years ago, and I was just feeling like there was this corporate ceiling, and I wanted to excel my career. And a mentor of mine that was in the banking industry as well told me that I would be a great realtor. So I started the courses, started my career, and the rest is history. I've been very resilient. That's what it takes to be a good realtor in this industry. And 6 months ago, I bought my dream property in the foothills of Placerville. So now I am expanding my career up to El Dorado County.
I've seen your property up there. You
Yes.
said you love it up there, huh?
It's super awesome. It's like such a dream. It's something that I didn't think I could do for 10 years. It was on my vision board. And it's crazy because I found my vision board from 2019 and my property is exactly that.
Wow.
So I have my farmhouse, I have chickens, I have land, I have a creek in the back, I'm close to the river, and it's such a dream.
That's a big change from the Bay Area.
Totally. Very peaceful. I love the nature and the scenery, and just like the people are much more relaxed in the Bay Area, that's for sure.
It's not as hustle and bustle as
Exactly.
What area of the Bay were you in?
I was in the East Bay, so Concord, Walnut Creek, Pleasant Hill,
Okay.
Lafayette, Moraga, Orinda area.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
very, very busy
A
area.
lot less traffic, too.
Yes.
Maybe not during Apple Hill season, but
Yes. I don't even go up to Apple Hill during Apple Hill season. I'm like a true local now.
What qualities in a real estate agent do you think are the most important?
Someone who is a self-starter, self-motivator, go-getter. If you want to sell homes, you need to get up and get after it every single day. You have to have systems and structures in place. You can't just lay in bed and hope the phone rings and the next deal is just going to fall into your lap. Like, you actually have to put in the work. And I think that's where a lot of realtors think like, oh, I can just go get my real estate license and hang a sign and make $1 million a year off my family and friends. But it's not like that at all. It's constant hustle every single day, day in and day out.
And right now, there's probably a lot of challenges that buyers and sellers are facing. What are some of those challenges, and what are some things that you're doing to help them kind of navigate that?
Great question. So buyers are dealing with high home prices, high interest rates. They're dealing with competition. There's still some very competitive homes, especially those move-in ready ones that everyone wants. So I'm helping them by finding homes that have maybe been sitting on the market for longer, getting creative with financing and seller credits, that sort of thing. I have a very tight-knit agent sphere, I'd say. So that helps me win offers as well because other agents want to work with me. So when my clients are up against multiple offers, I may be able to have more of a foot in the door, just in that sense. And then as far as sellers go, sellers are dealing with their low interest rates, most of them, that they've refied into, and not wanting to really pay a higher price and pay a higher interest rate. They're also dealing with not wanting to do like repairs and work on the home before they put the house on the market. They just want to sell as is. But buyers are being pickier now than ever for good reason, right? Because they're already paying so much for the home. They're have this high interest rate. They want to dump all their funds into like their down essentially to lower their monthly, and they don't want to go in and renovate the property like maybe
they just
we saw
want it
a
to
few
be
years
ready,
ago. Exactly.
ready to go. Yeah.
They're like, unpack my bags and let's go.
I'm sure it's hard to, these sellers convincing them that, these little fixes, it could save us a whole headache just by doing this right now, and we can actually sell your home faster.
Absolutely. And I've actually won several listings with just being at my brokerage Compass, we have a concierge program in the Bay Area or in Northern California. We have up to $40,000 that we will loan to a seller for up to a year so that they can do some of those pre-inspections, pre-renovations prior to going on the market, help with paint, floors. That goes a huge, long way prior to going on the market. So that helps a lot. And I've had a success rate of selling all of my listings within a week. So
that's awesome.
If they do my system and my structure, follow that, to a T, then we should have their home sold for their higher return on investment for sure.
And what do you think are the most important things, prior to listing in terms of fixing or updating with the home? What do you think are the top 3 to 5 things that are the most important, the most cost efficient?
I'd say the basics is literally just decluttering, depersonalizing, like take your stuff off the walls, take your stuff out of the cabinets that people can visibly see. And it's crazy when you declutter, you actually like feel an energy release. But anyways, so definitely like decluttering is main. I'd say paint is huge. It's everything. I'm doing it on my listing right now in El Dorado Hills that I'm prepping, and it looks night and day difference. And all we are doing is painting. So paint, floors is another one I'd say is really huge. If it's carpet, lay some new carpet down or do the vinyl plank throughout the home for a cost-efficient way. And then I'd guess lighting would be another one that's pretty important that I do in a lot of my listings too. It's like simple, change out the boob light that's in the center of the room and put some four recess lighting, cans.
Yeah.
Makes a big world of difference.
Well, one thing that me and John were talking about recently is a lot of people don't turn on their lights all the time, right? And so when we're going in and turning on lights, a lot of times people notice, oh, these lights are out or these lights have different color temperatures, and I feel like things like that can kind of throw people off when they're when they're viewing the home. If you can eliminate that and have a nice clean presentation, I think that
absolutely
that goes a long way.
First impressions, everything, and I actually am a little weird with my listings. If they're vacant and not owner occupied, I go in every single morning and turn on all of the lights. And then at the end of the night, I go back and I button up the whole house and I turn off all the lights. And I just tell agents like not to touch the lights because lighting is everything, right? And that first impression, it's like if you walk into a house and you're like, oh, this is dark and dull, like how does your mood and energy feel? Like, are you going to want to feel comfortable staying in that home? And that's a big thing that I tell clients when I'm representing them on the buy side. It's like when you walk through a home, you have to feel those emotions and envision your life there, your family there, your day-to-day there.
Yep.
So energy and mood lighting and all of that makes a big, big difference.
Yeah. You've got multiple other properties kind of in their mind, and immediately on this first one that they see, if they don't get that first impression that they're like, oh, we can envision ourselves here, they're going to be right on to the next one.
Yep.
So I like to ask, what are some experiences that you've had? So maybe we start with a good experience, with a past client, a success story, and then let's also touch on maybe a horror story or something that's happened awesome. On a past transaction, and what you learned from it.
So a great story. Well, I have several great stories, but I think one that sticks out to me and a client that I'm still meeting with quarterly, even though we sold 2 years ago, I just really helped his family out, essentially. He found me through a friend that was going to purchase his home off market. They were coworkers. He actually inherited this property, being a good neighbor, and he was planning on selling the home off market to her. Comps were around like $850 if he didn't do anything. We went in and did the floors and the paint and the light fixtures because her situation changed. She couldn't buy the property anymore off market. Now we were shifting gears, going live on the market. We ended up doing all of the renovations. We still put it on around $850 because it was like pretty high for price per square foot. And I was a little bit nervous, and it just totally popped off. This was last summer, actually, so a year ago. And we ended up getting 36 offers and selling that home for $1.1 million. And I actually had an offer at 1.2. which I actually talked my client out of accepting just because the terms and the offer itself were pretty sloppy and not as clean as these other couple of offers at 1.1. So that was like my hero story. And he was obviously so thrilled because he was a UPS driver and it changed his entire life because that money, now he could retire and live comfortably. And he was like, I'm not a person that lives paycheck to paycheck, but I live property tax to property tax, and it's just was game-changing money. And he's like, well, actually, we've been sitting on this property, another home in San Mateo, which isn't an area that I necessarily go to, but I felt that I needed to help him and his family out. So it was his mother-in-law's property that they were just sitting on and like figuring out what they were going to do with it. And I ended up selling that within a week for $100,000 over list price for 1.8 for a complete fixer 1950s home. Yeah.
How shortly after was that?
That was immediately after, probably within like the next month. We prepped that.
That's awesome.
I basically just decluttered stuff, took down all the window coverings and just left it in its original condition. Had great photos and video. It was in an awesome location. And sold that in a week with four offers. We got an all cash offer and closed 10 days later. So they're obviously good friends of mine now, and we go to quarterly lunches and dinners and all of that. So that's like my good hero story, I guess, from last year. And then a horror story. I mean, I have several like funny ones, and this isn't like a crazy horror story, but it's just funny because it was my very first listing when I got in the business 9+ years ago. And at the time I was selling real estate in like Alamo and Danville, much more like luxury market. And just trying to get my foot in the door there locally. And my uncle called me up and he's like, my renter just got out. He kind of like destroyed the place. Can you help me sell the house? And it's up in North Highlands. And I'm like, yeah, no problem. Let's do it. So I'm like thrilled for $180,000 listing. I'm like, let's go. This is so exciting. So we declutter the property, clean stuff up. He does a bunch of work. He was a carpenter. So he did a bunch of work to the property to get it all cute and buttoned up before we went on the market. And I had it on the market for literally 2 days, had a sign out there. I showed up and just to check on the property, I showed up and I like noticed that the side gate is like broken and I'm like, off the hinge. I'm like, okay, this is suspicious. And then same thing with the storm door that was on like the front door. It was like the knob was broken off. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? I'm like, clearly there's a squatter inside the house, right? And so I call my uncle who's like in San Francisco and he's like, oh my gosh, Brittany, like, I don't know what to do. He's like, let me call my buddy. He's like, don't call the sheriff. But I'm like, little old me, like, what am I supposed to do with this like squatter in the house? My broker already was like, don't take that listing. Like, it's not a good part of town and like all this stuff. But I was so determined to sell that darn house. So anyways, I called his buddy. His buddy came through and luckily the squatter wasn't physically present at the time. And they had just made a little bit of a mess. They, washed up essentially inside the home. We changed the locks and went on with our day. And that house I ended up selling like 4 days later to a sweet, like first-time home buyer. And she loved the home. I obviously disclosed it, but it was just a funny story that sticks out in my mind, I guess.
Yeah, not too bad. Not too
no,
bad.
it's not horrible, but it's funny. Like that's my first listing. I'm like, oh great, there's a squatter.
Welcome to the industry.
So fun.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. In terms of getting properties ready to list and, getting them on the market and, branding and all of that in general, how important do you think that high quality media is for the industry, whether it's photos, video, virtual tours, all of that?
It's everything. I think it's super important, super high on the list. Set your budget aside for it because it's extremely important. All of my listing packages, I pay for photography and videography because I believe in it that much. I also reimburse sellers for staging at the end of the day because I believe in it that much. First impressions are everything to buyers. We are in a swipe culture, thanks to Tinder and Bumble and all those other dating sites. They want to see a beautiful home right off the bat, and that is from the photos and videos that they're seeing on their phone. 97% of homes are, seen on the online before they're even in person. Yeah. So you want to make sure that first impression is a bang and it gets them to actually get out of their house and off their couch to come see the property in person. It's part of my process every single time. I do a little bit of behind the scenes on my social media before I list a property, but I always view a listing as like a movie premiere. Like we do a little bit of these behind the scene clips behind the scenes on social media, and we do little clips and things to like tease people to get them intrigued. But I don't full blown like show the properties that I am listing until I have my media back. And I have to make sure that I'm working with the best photo and video companies because it's, like I said, it's everything.
And over the years, how big of a role has it played in your social media or marketing strategy, and how do you use it to, connect with clients?
Great question. It's shifted because it was more so, I'd say when I first got in the business, like you dabbled a little bit with Facebook, right? And stuff like that. And now it's like Instagram, Facebook, it's very much more like targeted to the specific groups that you're posting on. And content itself has changed because people are seeing homes sometimes on social media before they're even seeing it on like the Redfins or the Zillow apps. Yeah, I'd say it's shifted a little bit in that regard. I mean, it's my bread and butter. I get 70%, I'd say, of my deals come from social media. The other 30 is from like past clients and referrals. But that's also probably dips into that 70% because I'm staying top of mind to those same people every single day by showing up on my social media and showing them that I'm still in the trenches every single day doing business. So I'd say if you're not on board, you need to hop on the train or else you're going to get left behind because it's everything.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what advice do you have for people that either on the fence about, really diving into social media, and just investing in content in general? And, what do you think that they should start with if they are kind of scared or just unmotivated to get going?
Well, I'd say whatever you're going to spend on it is worth its weight in gold. Do it sooner rather than later because you'll get over those jitters. Like, of course, if I look back at some of my videos from 2016 and stuff, it's comical, right? I'm like, oh my gosh, what was I doing? But start with the basics. Start with the stuff that you know. If you're a buyer rep or a seller rep, like make short little clips and videos on what you know really well. Don't obviously speak on things that you're not confident on. So make little videos. What's an earnest money deposit? How long is a traditional escrow? How do you help your clients on the listing side? I just say start sooner rather than later, and then you'll just get more comfortable in front of the camera and seeing your face and hearing your beautiful voice every single day.
Right. You want to educate, entertain, and then connect. Yeah. Just build that personal brand.
Exactly. And that's the thing too that I'd say the nice thing is about social media. It's free advertising too, right? And it's free connecting with those people. So it's like, if someone's messaging you or loving your stuff, like message them and connect with them on a personal level. Like be authentic. Don't make it weird and salesy. Just be real and be yourself. And I'd also say like when I first got in the business, I was very young. And so I was like nervous about selling real estate and like not being that like authority figure. I thought people would just view me as like a young 20-year-old, and over time, I've like developed obviously my own authority and my own sphere. But it's just a matter of because I like know how to show up and give my value. And also like I show a little bit of my personal life too. And so people want to connect with you on a personal level, not just a professional level. Whereas before, when I first got started in the business as a 21-year-old agent, I was so nervous to show that like personal side of myself. I wanted to be so business and professional. And it's like, no, you need to like soften a bit and show people like they want a human too and someone that they can connect with. So like now I'm connecting with people like in the foothills who are like young families, young moms, like homesteaders and all of that because that's the lifestyle that like I'm living. I'm planning on homeschooling my boys and like just showing up, I guess.
People want to connect and relate to you.
Yeah.
And we've noticed that, we can post great stuff on our business page and stuff, but when we incorporate people or ourselves and our personal brand into it, we notice that people are sharing, liking, commenting way more than if it's if it's just more personal,
vanilla, boring. Yeah,
so
exactly.
That's the reason that we're wanting to, do more podcasts and get our face more out there and really connect with people. So
it's awesome.
So what key factors do you attribute to your business growth and your personal growth over the last few years?
Being very resilient, being very organized and structured, and always having a growth mindset. Like, don't have this like lack mentality. Have more of a abundance mindset. There's plenty of business to go around, plenty of knowledge to share. Always just be willing to learn and grow, because the industry is rapidly changing every single day. And I think, I guess adaptability too, just being able to roll with the punches. There's days where you're going to get beat down. And it's like, well, oh shit, tomorrow I got to get back up and do this again, and you just get back up and you do it again. Yeah. Learning and growing, and just keep moving, keep pushing forward, keep doing it.
You mentioned there's plenty of business to go around. Like we've noticed, there's, you try to stray away from people that kind of bring you down. There's a lot of people in this industry, whether it's, other contractors, there's other companies, competition that we know of, and then other agents that, it's just like, why can't we all just work together? Why do we have to be so so strict with each other, and so like, oh, it's one way or the other, like, let's just work together, and we're all gonna do well in the long run.
And that's where the business just keeps rolling for you, when you have that mentality of like helping other people out, or like opening your playbook. All the time I get DMs. I actually just got one this morning from a guy who said, hey, I found your social media. Like, I love all of your content and everything that you're posting. It's really made me intrigued about real estate. He probably seemed like a young 20-year-old guy, like maybe making a career change or thinking about the next step. And I just said, hey, thanks so much. Like, that's awesome. I appreciate it. I'm like, let me know if you have any questions about getting into the industry or any specific questions. And I've just always been that way. Like, I don't care if you're at another brokerage or whatever. Like, we're all on the same playing field here. Like, let's all help each other out and move and grow together. Like, our clients are going to be different. Even if we're, very similar people, our clients are going to be different at the end of the day, who we attract. And like I said, there's plenty of business to go around. So just be kind and,
be kind.
Share, open up. Like, it is what it is.
You'll attract your tribe. And
100%.
If certain clients, or people are not meant to work with you, then it just, it works out itself. So
exactly. I remember I was so scared. I actually had a nightmare listing at the very beginning too. And I took it because I was a new agent, and I was like, I want this new listing, but I knew the client would be kind of a nightmare, and he knew what his house could sell for, even though there was no comps to support that price. So I told him, we'll try it out for 2 weeks, and we tried it out for 2 weeks. We ended up having to reduce price, and then I ended up just firing him, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. But like, the peace and sanity that I gained after that, like, I was so, I guess, hanging on to it for like probably that commission, right? At the end of the day, I'm like, oh, I need this money. I'm like a brand new agent sort of thing. But then at the end of the day, I'm like, the business that I can now open myself up to by saying no to that one person that does not align with me it's endless. Yep. So I just think it's so important to, like, know your own values, know your own worth, stand your ground, fight for what's right, fight for your commission. And you'll do well in this industry.
Yep. Yeah. Sometimes it's just not worth it. It's not the business that you may be getting is not worth the headache.
Not at all. Money doesn't buy happiness. You still have to go home every single night and be a happy person. Right. So,
So now that you are up here in the hills, El Dorado County, what's your goals over the next year or so with your business?
Grow much more with my business up here, grow my name. I always had the vision. My mantra since I got in the business was 3 a month every month. And that's like 3 deals a month, 3 clients a month. That's sort of how I, envision it. Yep. So my vision once I moved up here was at least 1 deal in El Dorado County, at least 1 still in Contra Costa County, because I'm still down there 3 to 4 days a week. And now my vision is to, because I've already been accomplishing that, thank God, I'm hoping to just grow even more in the next year, my name and my business up here. And also I'm trying to bring Compass to the 50 side. We're on the 80 side. And I think that Compass Concierge is going to help tons of sellers with that $40,000, funds that they can get to renovate prior to list. So yeah, just growing my name and expanding more up here. And thank God for social media. The deals that I've had up here are actually all from social media.
Oh, very cool. I think the only other Compass agent like on this side, do you know Robbie?
Yeah,
oh, you do know Robbie.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I have a shoot with her later today. So.
Oh, how funny. That's awesome. Yeah,
that's cool.
She's great. But yeah, she's like, we're the only two up here on this side. So it'll be nice to bring a Compass presence. I'm actually working with one of our managers to do that in the El Dorado Hills Town Center. So
cool.
That would be awesome if we can like open up, a flagship store up here and just so everyone can see it when they're driving along the freeway and more brand recognition. And
are you doing anything right now or planning to do anything like community events or anything like that?
That's in the process. I'm doing 5 weeks. With my second
I was going to say, you've got a lot going on right now.
I do have a lot going on, but that is the plan because I am big on community events, and I was doing a lot, down in the Bay Area, and I've sort of just shut off that bit of my business, but I'm planning on revamping it and doing community events up here so that I can sponsor more events and like get my face and my name out here much more. Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome.
Yeah.
So visionaries are known for being resilient, optimistic, creative, risk takers, and inspirational. What is one or two of those traits that you think most relates to you?
I'd say resilient and a risk taker. Moving, 2 hours away from where my business has been planted for the last 10 years is a huge shift. My entire family is in the Bay Area, but I just knew my dollar would go much further. My lifestyle, my happiness, my peace, all of that would just expand tremendously. And so I'd say in every aspect of my life, I've been a risk taker and been very resilient. And I think that's huge for being a business owner too. Like you always have to just adapt and change and be willing to try new things like video. Like I said, if I look back at some of my previous videos, it's like we'll all be here cackling because
I'm sure, everyone.
Just, everyone.
You should have seen some of ours.
Even like the quality of our cell phones, right, has advanced so much. But I just think it's important to take risks and have a faithful mentality rather than like a fearful mindset. If you have a vision or an inner knowing, like trust your gut instinct and just go for it. Like what the hell do you have to lose, really?
Yeah.
So
that's kind of how it was with this studio. There's a lot of people that said, "Oh, I don't know if you should do it, man." And I was like, I'm gonna beat myself up more if I don't do it.
If you don't, absolutely.
I just have to, I have to try it. And
so cool.
Yeah. So
it's like the naysayers will always be the ones that make you second guess yourself. But when you have that like recurring thought where you're like, no, this is the vision. This is what I need. I know needs to happen. You have to do it. The people say the same thing to me. I commute to the Bay Area 3 days a week and I have a 3-year-old and another one on the way. But it's like, I'm an early riser. I wake up at 5 a.m. We jump in the car. I listen to tons of podcasts and audiobooks now. So there's so many benefits to it, and I'm like avoiding traffic patterns. I'm setting up my schedule where I'm not sitting in gridlock traffic all day long. I'm back on the road before the traffic starts, and if I have later appointments, I stay at my mom's house. Like it's not that big of a deal. Like you learn how to adapt and grow with your new lifestyle, and I'm sure you are even like blown away by what the studio has done for you too. Like now that you're in it, right? And you accomplish it, you're like, damn, like that's such a good feeling that like I did that. And then also too, like every day there's like little things that happen. You're like, whoa, that's so cool. Like I didn't even expect that would come out of this situation sort of thing. And that's how I feel about like my property and my lifestyle and the people I'm meeting. And
sometimes it takes longer to come together,
Absolutely.
But if you just stay the course, it really pays off.
Absolutely.
So,
it's worth it.
Yep.
So go for it.
Thanks so much for coming on the podcast. It was a great discussion.
So cool.
We'll let you get back to business and get ready for your new baby.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Of course.